Greetings, mere mortals, and welcome to the end. The end of Monster Month for this year. Time flies when you're having fun.
Before we get started, I have to address something from last week. Several people have informed me those skulls on Dalsim's chest are in fact not from monkeys, but are actually from freaking children he couldn't save. That's the most effed up thing I have ever seen on a children's toy.
Yikes, that's a bit much even for me.
Anyway, today we're taking a look at a monstrous robot from the original Transformers toy line. So meet Squeezeplay?
Squeezeplay, really? That's the name they went for?
That is one of the dumbest names in Transformers I have ever heard. It sounds like a very specific sex fetish thing. Okay, so Squeezeplay was released in 1988 with all original body parts and was part of that year's Headmasters line, who were smaller than the original Headmasters. I really like the color scheme. Blue, purple, and gray. It gives him an evil vibe. The robot mode is pretty good, but does have one annoying eyesore. The feet of his alt mode stick out of his back and are just right there in plain sight above his shoulders. Also, they look like they'd have articulation due to the screws connecting them to the torso, but they in fact can't move.
That's a bit of a pity.
Thanks to Transformers Wiki legend M. Cypher for confirming that, as I didn't want to mess with the things and break the legs trying to move them. For an accessory, he has a blue gun, nothing remarkable. Detailing is pretty good, but nothing special. Well, not in robot mode anyway. Articulation is pretty decent for a Transformer of that time. He can rotate his arms 360 degrees, and they move a bit at the shoulder. Due to the transformation, they can also move inwards, so he can sorta cross his arms. He can also move his fists inwards, and his torso rotates 360 degrees. Both of these articulation points are thanks to the transformation too. He would be able to move his legs 360 degrees, but the torso and kibble get in the way. He can move his knees about 90 degrees, and finally, again, due to the transformation, his toes can move so he can tippy-toe if the mood strikes him. By the way, this is the official robot mode, but it also works if you rotate the torso 180 degrees, though this way the knees move backwards. This does give him a huge snake head between his legs.
That, again, say it with me, everybody.
Due to the transformation, can move so it looks like he's got a giant talking snake head for a dick. This brings us to the transformation, which is fairly simple. First, since he's a headmaster, you remove the head, making his stat screen blank. You fold out the head's legs, and you get something that can barely be called an action figure. You rotate the torso, fold in the fists, most of the stuff, by the way, can be done in any order, and fold the arms inward. You rotate the legs a bit, and fold in the pincers. Finally, you drop the snakehead down and attach his mace weapon thing I haven't mentioned yet to the robot's neck hole to complete it and keep it from falling over. As a side note, maybe it's just my toy, but he can't hold his tail in his hands in robot mode. It looks like it should fit, but it just doesn't. Anyway, if you don't want the little partner around, there's a secret compartment in the torso where you can store it. This gives you what the wiki calls a crab-like monster.
And sure, I can see elements of that.
But the head, that's clearly a cobra, right? I did mention you can do his transformation mostly in any order. So, if you save removing the head for last, it looks like he's crapping out his own headmaster partner. This monster mode, and the head in particular, are the reason I picked this guy for Monster Month. It's so Cobra-like it makes for an excellent robot enemy of the Joes created by Mindbender or Destro. It's also about as tall as a G.I. Joe figure, but wider and longer, making for an excellent and appropriately sized Cobra robot. For this, you have to ignore Transformers are supposed to be giant robots. Well, most of them anyway. He can even hold a G.I. Joe figure in his pincers, squeezing them as he plays with them.
Oh, so that's why the name.
If this channel ever did a list of Transformers toys that work well with G.I. Joe, this one would be at the top. The detailing is far more pronounced in this mode, especially the Cobra part. He does have less articulation, as like I mentioned before, the legs don't move, and his jaw, again something that looks like it should move, doesn't open, even though it's a separately molded piece.
I have a feeling some corners were cut here to make the toy cheaper to produce.
I just love this beast mode, and I'd army build with them for Cobra if they weren't so damn expensive. And that was Squeezeplay, and he was pretty great. There were 2 more toys of him in modern lines. In Titan's Return, he was renamed to Crash Bash for trademark reasons.
Wait, what?
Somebody else trademarked the name Squeezeplay?
Who? Why?
Well, probably a sex toy manufacturer. Editing Ghoul here. A quick Google search does in fact reveal that there are several toys and other stuff called Squeezeplay. But my point stands, why? Anyway, Crash Dash was just a transforming head. In 2024, we got a G1 Universe Squeezeplay, yes, that's his full name, again because trademarks, and he seems pretty sweet.
To round things off, why don't we talk about the character a bit?
His partner that forms his head is called Locos, with a K.
Wow, subtle, isn't it?
And he was a smuggler and pirate from the planet Nebulon, where all organic partners for the various masters came from. Squeezeplay himself prefers brute force and intimidation on the battlefield. He'll just Leroy Jenkins into a fight because he figures he's strong and tough enough to win. Which is kinda weird since his stat screen doesn't show him to be all that strong. Locos tries to temper this, but even he sometimes just goes along with the rampage since it seems to work. I'm guessing these guys never fought the Dinobots.
Squeezeplay never appeared in the cartoons.
Though there is some animation of him in the commercial for these smaller headmasters. He was never a big player in the original comics. But if you want to know more about that and his appearances in later stuff, I suggest checking out his Transformers wiki page. That's always a delight. And that was Squeezeplay, a robot for Cobra and a neat transformer in his own right. And so Monster Month ends as I return to the space between spaces. Or the costume cupboard, as Timmer calls it.
Until next time, mere mortals. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or I'll haunt you.